Yo, yeah, I'm on for mpesa me de sa message way ba precisely because they say no on setting be ameka say you connected dots no mpacho share and like it na subscribers so of any abankro ya ku yanim say de be o my the message no be ba because very besi misusum ne pa bi amne nam na gwambe o say transcendental teaching that is say enwie da ensanda enti no nipa so de se yete nkwam de bia e besua de saa wanyina anko ni ma wanyini ko achi enti no tembia no it's important we search and study and pick up the nuggets every day as we grow so they make what you say right enti I'm also going to be doing the English nitri no be frafra because omama ho ahi kasa no ai bibia wo ho Ubutime Fubruniama to the extent say you want to speak just tree. But again, you have some of us at Yakodi diaspora. And we must find ways and means to attract them. Yeah, no so. Now yes, also expose you. Untino na ya limit na nebu ha na can then we keep it like that as we go. Until if I do a lot of mixing. What I say? And like I said, I just want to talk briefly about something very peculiar, but at the same time very important. Because the moment you can debunk a theory, and as a convention, then you already make it null and void. And why do I say that? Because now what we are talking about is basically about the God self. Nyamisu nankasa. And chechire piaba. Now it's obvious we have followed a wrong system of what is worship. No, you're wrong. But again, and one year the attitude until you think that is the Holy Grail. But say the maker no, adisuya, and the man who say waiting. You know how long it took the entire world to believe that the sun revolved around the earth over thousands of years. Then nipa gidi se ewia no enyina fa kon etwa no ho na it looked real, and it was like how can this be a lie? Because one grouse ranopa you see epuye ni atoye on se kasa no crack say if you baby na kodru baby nti ewia ni pie ha na akoto ha. Even in language, you see how it kind of makes it make sense. So, the sun revolving around the earth, a system, any truth, nipa gidi for a long freaking time. Quotation master this here. The fact that you can't say my thought was something actually doesn't make it true. So you'll be would really be to form. No hesitate bia na ye de asem sisi asemani na ma yenya nokre wo mu na yetime gina so e de ho how best or what we are learning from yetete ho nokre no tina absolute truth no enter in the hosa no we make asem si asem so the be you get the genesis of where I'm coming from, and then you can make sense out of it. Intimacy for a long time everybody in the world we are sending Sunday Ghana 1957 and about 6 million, and they say 30 something million. So we've come a long way, but a long time ago, ye nyina ye gidi say, e wia na hata hoi, and the call round, e pie na akoto, and it made sense. But what we didn't know is that now you are missing data points. The most important of them is gravity. Gravity. Are they all cost of no? Yeah, Mrs. We didn't know that. Science didn't know that. But then just in any hole. And the children who say, oh, say we are no more a channel. They are assassin mom and a channel. So I message I made a bay. Now I know the money da. Oh, my con has some good stones and that. But near the enough any abandon and tell home way. So, in Tina Maker say, the fact that you know something today doesn't make it true. And maybe Mika said, you can be very sincere about your truth, but you can also be sincerely wrong. So, that's why I'm making all these analogies. And to me say, as one me can it's basically something we all, as when we were Christians, in fact, but I want us to put a stop to it. At least once you know the information, say that's what I have come to understand. And first of all, I want us to accept that fact. The fact that you think, sorry, and now we would and now we be it doesn't make it absolute truth until you have knowledge of what you are doing. And the man who said, with the no do. And now if it would be to make us say, we say, but you never, where you swag name and normally see any when your knowledge so the approval. And the topic I make come from very brief. From John Fanchame, many and 10p. And like I said, one share and more subscribe. Then the Bemana Quechi. Na a friend is a message, and I could do baby also could do. After another thing I want to may try to demystify certain things. Because yeah, Uncle Fubusa question will be correct to say, hey, now so in your Bible need it. Will be a gas on your Bible need. Yes, I touch him, your fire 7 year done down any. Until I may any say no, and son I made the men a number. Oh, Obi to make us say, when your Bible needs we are not for Bible quotation. But say, no, there's another thing. You talk once. We almost say, hey, where did you get your information from? And now who said it? What are your sources? So, and so no, on the emphasis Christopher one in Cremophone dinner. Almost also na ko yes over the Bible cry and just say asma yes say Abraham can and no magia to more. But obi anyhow Abraham said it, what Abraham said, why he said what he said. Ya gie di keke any the namso. Ya fa na walk up. And until I make us say a choir ye fa so who say 5 books of Moses no. Na Moses no one te ho. And so betro the beginning creation near the nyina ba no. So what kind of Bible now check your preambles now? What me who said it was not even the name said the cars so much and a troy. Me say, but obia or can use who preach it here. You probably use the study Bible, and if you use the study Bible, what it means is that you are getting the sources and the whys the books you are preaching about was written. And that's what I'm trying to go with here. Until, like I said, I was gonna mix and match it. And so far. How we believed in what somebody wrote in a book telling us, say, Abraham heard from God and he said that, or Moses brought the events and 10 commandments from Mount Sinai and he says that and that and that. So we have believed it, Mapano. I'm going by the same principle because they said, who said what it means like for me to me now is, and some now the things that we had our forefathers or people wrote in the Bible and the scriptures, and yet totally true. Most of them was conjecture. And if you read the preambles, like I said, you understand why I'm saying conjecture. Because they themselves wrote in the preambles, say, they did not understand the languages on the tablets they were copying it from. So they used a lot of assumptions. And the church, that's why, almost say, according to Matthew. But even though Matthew himself didn't write it, based on the preamble again, I'm just demystifying it. So that when I tell you where my source is or why I have believed or I think what I'm saying now leans more to the truth than what I have heard before now, you get why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yes, it's very simple. And you're complicated crowd. Inti, who pay my sources are? Me de my advice one say, ko baby a YouTube channel friend Osuna for TVGH. Okohwa no akohwe ni creation story ne system how he got the information he got in free book bi emu said the roman koma onyame bi so Abraham da ne Moses da na omo be kan se ma Jew for Israel for GD no sa na ne wono so aso na da na dia na efe omo kra ne se da ye so no he is able to use in today's current affairs near the enemy compare notes it means some can super pepe. The final part that makes me lean towards a whole as my source and say it is yedium. Oh, it is yedium. The part now me believe way for majority of my life, no. Then yedium. Because even though they were talking about Africans a bit before, no, it sounded like, and the message looked like the thing was about Europe. Because how could you talk to me about a Hebrew man and give me an image of a blonde, a friend is a blonde hair, blonde, there's a blue eyes, blonde hair man. No, say, it'll be free Europe. That alone tells me there's something wrong somewhere. Now, story also about Africa. And so no, the messaging there seems a little bit thwarted. So I said, okay, I'm no channel. Now, if somebody brings me a message that is Africa related, and then it makes sense to my tribal issues, where I'm coming from, then I'll rather investigate that. I'll be interested in finding out more about that. Because obviously, I'll be misled by the European-centric or the Eurocentric biblical system. And that's why I'm saying that if you're looking for my source, lean towards Osuma for TVGH and then listen to what he's saying and see if you can make sense out of it. That is, if you have a curious mind. If you don't have a curious mind, you will not do what I'm asking you to do. What I think you're going to just do is business as usual. There was some. Would you be a doma confused or doma? My mother will say, if you saw doma come bad, they will be the Israeli. Uncle and had the Ocean credit. So, but it doesn't matter what your mother says. Uber of age, Drew baby. And some cast to me and say, oh, Hano, you came me, no, and you are trying to acquaint him. And to young uncle as a hand, younger son, your dear 70 years so many. A balance your no crew, near their boy bra. And you know, sources are 17 and mamma can't say until if you hear anything I say here and you want to challenge it, go to Osuma for TVGH. So I'm saying share and like and subscribe. You hear more from me going forward. I'm leaning more towards that because Emma Abako Semono and Yenyamisuya Semono is share more than the old-fashioned Christian Muslim systems, religious systems as we know it. Yeah. And what am I talking about? Now let's go straight to the point. The tribes of Israel. Tribes of Israel. Now they make him be first you can just prima facie challenge it. Because now you be used to share numbers to do the calculation. After that, now for your abakosem, and I said ye bibiremu, said the ye who saw 12 tribes, Now my mom the corresponding friends analogies I make here now I will say you have been misled by what you know so and I say what you know about so crowd on for would you feel say ya jo nkwana ye do ko baby, so to speak. And on so munyina ka say 12 tribes of Israel. Ya come I just back home mutaka. People used to talk about the friends saying, oh, this scripture, I'm forgetting now. The wise men. You remember growing up, we all did pay the Mr. King Herod. It drew a Christmas season here. We would think, say, the 3 wise men came from the east. Can you believe there wasn't any number 3 put there in the Bible from whenever to date? But Ubia can't 3 wise men. Why? Because it has been said over and over and over again. To preach, you preach like that. I mean, as a assistant youth pastor, me preach it can be 3 wise men, 3 wise men. So 3 wise men be no. So for your kind of crabby, as man okay, true. There's nothing like 3 wise men. And you're wise men, but say they make sure you can't also come fast because most people just gloss over scriptures. Omuntinasi and you who equivocate and analyze it normal. Your typical Christian and share Bible no crème. After Sunday, no, they are talking. I mean, come on, so. And tribes of Israel, we have been told say 12 Sahabis in there. Nobody has asked questions. Say, first of all, you need to understand, say, when you say a tribe, what are you talking about? Identifying a group of people by some kind of a distinction. For instance, language, which is the most common one. Language. And a man will tribal back. How do you get your language? You get it through your mother tongue. The language your mother speaks is what you speak. So that becomes your tribe, right? Okay. But we accept, say, the tribal thing comes from Jacob lineage. It is a Jacob lineage, and the tribes no bar. First of all, mistake number cross here is father side, but be that as it may, we're gonna, just for the sake of argument, maintain that system. And if Jacob had, in fact, 3 wives at the time, 1 girlfriend, 2 sisters from 1 uncle, and uofa, obviously your uncle is your mother's brother. So your uncle will speak your mother's language, so as you will speak your mother's language. So Jacob and the uncle Laban and the Leah and Rachel are obviously speaking the same language, whatever that language is. I'm not trying to go into that now. Whatever language it is that these 3 people were speaking, supposedly supposed to be the same language because they are one tribe. What do you see? Okay. And then we also saw in the same scriptures, now I'm using scriptures to explain it. Under the same scriptures, we are told, say, he had 2, maid servants. 1 maid servant was another language. The moment you say, even the maid servant speaks Jacob's language, then now you are reducing it. So I'm helping you out by saying, say, just for the sake of argument, the 2 maid servants were here. 1 we know is an Ewe one, and we know the other one is a Ga. But I want to take that out for now and just stick with the numbers. Until now, we have 1 Ewe, 1 Ga, and 1 Akan tribe. Na just aye miensa. Sena miensa de na just emfansa aka say. Say 12 we 3 film, then you're talking about 9 Akan. Yes, there's nothing like that. Because you see, 7 tribes has followed us up to date. And here 7 tribes. It's nothing like 12. The 12 only means the astrological imposition onto our system of culture. And it's part of the things they have come to impose on us. That is why I'm saying, say, a lot of things have gone wrong, but we didn't even know it was wrong in the first place. And the idea to me, can be just like the 3 wise men system. Just like the sun revolving around the earth system. But I just use that as an example. And let me stick with the tribal thing. So right now, we know we have Jacob, Leah, Rachel, Laban, speaking 1 language. The 2 servants never can hon. Just I mean, because 1 language, 1 language, 1 language. 3. Saka 4, now 7. 7 no, me and Sana Kana. Less one is Mali. The Mosi group, the Edo, the Agbos. So, it is all Casancro 4 way, a fraka, now be 7. Timamishan is with the Akans, the Gans, the Ewes, the Malians, Mosi, Agbo, and the Edo. These tribes are involved within Sicilian. They are in existence today in Africa. Most of them in Ghana. The others are in Nigeria and Mali. On a mechano, a bit of Burkina Faso. But yes, Katai and your bar south. And they say 7 tribes open the proof. I may say a dear Chiabedruha. It has followed us to wherever we are. Because unse culture now as it is, that is what identifies you. Until we have stuck with it up to date. Otiko also, Miami penny, or your copy or 2 say 2. Anytime he sits down, bones in Tahra 7, and he didn't him. That is a representation of each tribe. 7. The objective, ne say, hey, you never my carbon. Tina make us say, Oko or smart for TV GH. Now could hear messages, ne say make it sense. Look for him and then come and help him make this thing come to pass. What you say? But won't you see now better now that they want? That's also okay. Would you stay there and do what you are doing? And the tribes say 7. It couldn't be 12 under any shape or form. What do you say? First 3 were the core, and a true and tokano, and if you don't believe that, who said they are Santimano, no conformity better Santimano. They started with a few, and then akon no muko nyina na yɛko a na wabɛka ho obi okra na voluntarily ono so abɛka ho bi sɛ mebɛboa na magyekyerɛ ɔman no na nsia na me find akra sɛ bebia me frɛ me kurom kra sɛ ɛboa ɔman no edin ne yɛbɛboa asanteman ɛna yɛde to edin ne boa ɔman so but if you baby ɛna yɛbɛpie hɔ nipa yɛde n'akyi baeɛ no na ɛbɛdi hene but the key word ne say emra oba beboa o man nti no ene ye share na hene nti ne je so osum sikadwa nti asanteman chechire no this is the same thing we were doing then. In fact ayesu ono so kwasi ayesu di na ya kana mo senye no kore no ayesu no bae no one plot kwa wenti man because again the miracles in no man o ye nyina nti no people's attention devoid free the objective or the buy who say loving your neighbor as yourself, what you say, guided by reincarnation and karma no and no message in kwa beka Jesus message in no so krasa and for more miracles and omukuno interstate so he couldn't media my own theory using my head and the brain in my head no actually me say I'm not in a babetwa a juma Yesu anti-man so. Because a quiet Timika say John the Baptist and Elijah no reincarnated no. It's the same thing. And they see a Yesu ni Yesu same. My name for a fact, but I'm just using conjecture or musu and I'm using be. The Asante Church no started from here, going way back. Until ya Konya, Cote d'Ivoire to Togo to Cameroon, as far as going back into the Nigeria. Just another question. Where were we heading? Going back to Abyssinia, our source. Because the honey granted the Baha. So, Ena Umbesi Nechia, the Abba Besako, and the rest is history. But it is still gonna play out. I just say. And to me, 21 minutes, I think it's enough. I just wanted to talk about the tribes of Israel. So our tribes, you know, who identify now ethnic ethnic groups and friends say groupings by the clans. I'm friends and ton no member be chemo na mo ho. And no yet 9. And ton runs through the entire it runs through the entire tribes. The tribes near 7, but Antonio 9 until overlap it. Until you can have a sechere, you can have oyuko, you can have a diana, bretu, akwana, asuna, agona, asene, ene adako. Sa a ethnic groups, tribes, eno na entono, eno na befem bedi mosi. Until now bit meshia mosi ni. And so no ye or your core. What you say? Until now make us say people are say na say the kokosune doma here it's more like history repeating itself, but now there's more ignorance at stake, and people are not doing it with a real sense of purpose. So asante no or mine. It includes they say in a proper way, like United States of America, the Portuguese, the Irish, so what I say, the British, omunyina manfra, and the United States. Asante man for the same replica. In fact, Asante man buyer and sana United States grabber. Confornochi bechechila Asante man check your records. 60 to 70 years. Owuko no. And na Europe for no. Ebe former USA. That's how it played out. But again, that's a subject for another day. The point now they say tribes na ye wono. Yen ton na ye bono. And on a rhyme through 7 tribes yemo. And two bohus will be for Cote d'Ivoire, so no ye drianani. And on they identify it can run throughout to Tanzania cry. The moment o symbol wa boachere edi wanim wo hini bi anim no who say on ton ye. And near the father side. And to me, your yoko, a busiam, I may your cone, and some papa ye bread to you, bob bread to a busia. So, sanity. Intino, Menyano has a say, just brief explanation. Now, if this thing has debunked the theory of the 12 tribes for you, then ask yourself, why do you have to keep following the biblical astrological system now at that one? Because ye can odoman koma or bad, the energy is a creative we are said, yeah. He cannot be different like that, especially when it comes to something like this. It is a bit more chantro at clan or tribal system. So, what else can they do? Into no, saying discerning ears are listening. I'll leave it at that and just let you understand. Say, you can't tribes now. Yes, 7. Akans, Gans, Ewes, Mali, Mosifo, Agbo, and Edo. 7. And that's it. No more, no less. Nafe and Tono Swabem, Abesi, Asechere, Oyoko, Ediana, Bretuo, Aquana, Asuna, Agona, Asene, and Adako. Manuesi. Oti we moasia. Na for who say, and I saw so I'm the man, call Smart for TVGH. Na go checking out. This episodes in our lineup of short episodes from 1 to 15. Focus on no. Na say when you bresel person who wow diem, be sem pa dia. I want also ko na ko tie. And then now you can make an informed judgment call about Nina. Madam Mona say, mon share, among liking, among subscribing. Offering a bank or your queer them. Piao.